Hello, clients. Happy May to you. I hope that your spring is off to a great start. And this is actually an April 2025 recap. And it's important to kind of obviously look back and see what transpired in the previous month, but it's also important to look ahead and see what we think is coming down the pike and give you a little bit of a sense of what we think is getting ready to transpire. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into some of the technical charts on gold. And I'm going to show you here that gold is up 5% in April, and it was the only precious metal that was up in April. So we've actually rallied now as I record into May. We've kind of come back up, but as we closed the month, you'll see that we did end up just over 5% in the positive territory. And what happened in the month of April as well is we saw this huge spike. So we saw this after hour spike. I tell clients a lot, look, we may predict on where price might go, but that doesn't mean we're awake for it. And lo and behold, this little spike to 3,500 that we touched was something that was occurring when we were sleeping during the Asian and London market. So, but it did serve as a new intraday all-time high. It is not where we closed, so it's not a significant number yet. We need to close above it. But when you see those round numbers like 3,400 or 3,500 that serve as strong resistance points, and sure enough, you can see it came off very, very sharply, very quickly. From that peak to trough, in fact, gold ended up dropping over $200 in one day. So we'll see if it's able to go back and test that. But because it did touch that briefly, and if we take this start in December post-election recovery, and we have this whole run up in this intermediate channel, we really could see gold come down Fibonacci retracement wise as low as 3,137. 3,025 is the 50%, and then 2,913 would be the 618 Fibonacci. So keep in mind that that's typical, and we can actually see that seasonally. May tends to be the start of when prices soften. Just from a typical summer trend, we tend to put the low in for the year in June or July. I don't know if that's going to happen. We're just going to have to see what transpires with underlying fundamentals. Silver was actually down about 4%, actually, not quite 5% on the month. And so it's had a very good April, still hanging strong along with the other white metals. Here you see platinum. It finished down 2.8% in the month of April. And, we're starting to see a little bit of a recovery again as I record here. And then palladium was down 4.5% in the month of April. So the white metals lagged because we're not seeing a whole lot of underlying economic fundamentals that are going to drive those metals that have more of an industrial and economic sensitivity to them, as I point out in the letter. And so make sure that you're understanding that that may continue. So with a quick glance in terms of what transpired, again, gold up almost 6%, really, silver down 4, platinum down 2.8, and palladium down 4.5. But the year-to-date numbers for 2025 are very, very solid still. Gold's still up almost 26%, 13% for silver, 7% for platinum, and 3% for palladium. And we've really been investing in these top 3 in a declining portion, but the gold-silver ratio has got us more interested in silver right now, especially with new IRA monies or even a rebalancing. So some of you have had ratio trades. If you acquired gold in 2021, we've had the opportunity to move from gold into some silver. And why? Because look at where this ratio is, right? So we've come up to almost 105, come back down to about 98. We're back up to 102. It doesn't show the detail here because this is a long drawn out chart that I want you to see how far back that gold to silver ratio does and how wide those fluctuations can actually be. But this has us really heavily positioning silver depending on somebody's age and stage of retirement, but also swapping out of gold that was bought down in these lower channels and into silver to pick up additional ounces. So reach out if you've got questions on that. What's the big driver? I mean, honestly, people say, are we expecting the gold price to continue to climb? They're asking us that, and I'm saying, look, if you can predict what the dollar's going to do, then I'll tell you what gold's going to do, because there's been an inverse relationship. But just like I pointed out that gold's up almost 6% in April, the dollar's down 4.5%, right? And that's the primary driver. As the dollar weakens and the purchasing power decreases, obviously the spot price of gold climbs. and it's really playing and having a hard time getting north of now that it broke below this 100 to 1 level that we've seen over the last couple of years. And now we keep bumping our head on attempts to break north of that 100, and it's serving as the new ceiling, whereas it was the floor. And that often happens in technical charts. But the US dollar inverse relationship is really pointed out here 95% of the time in the last 90 days. Gold and the US dollar index have gone the opposite directions. Okay. And you'll see that here just in terms of this year in the last 90 days, you see this decline with this nice climb. But this goes back further into last year as well. Anytime gold's climbing, it's pretty much corresponding with the drop in the dollar. Here we see gold drop and the dollar climb. And so these inverse relationships help make things a little predictable in the short term. With all of that price action and everything that's happened, especially with gold, it's really important that you update your investment triangle. So I'm pointing this out now. You can call us, you can walk through it with me, you can put pencil to paper. But that portfolio diversification, with the growth and income side, with stocks and bonds taking a hit, depending on what you were invested in, you may have really shrunk this percentage of the portfolio. And likewise, with the gold rally and gold being up 26% this year, this piece may be, swelling into a higher percentage than what you originally laid out as your plan or desire. So put pencil to paper and see where that is. All that being said, I do want you to call and don't hesitate to reach out to me or Eric or Deanna if you can seeking a portfolio review or an update. We can email those over. Just questions on the gold silver ratio, anything else in that regard. And as always, we just really greatly appreciate working with you. Again, hope this finds your May off to a very, very good start, and we will see you next month. Take care.